I think each of you has played the game Truth or Dare at least once, or at least heard about this game. In this video, I will tell the stories of real people who have no shame and conscience. Enjoy watching! What is the most extreme situation you have experienced while playing Truth or Dare? I was dared to run naked around the block. Although it wasn't New Year's Eve, it was around that time. Being on the heavier side, I opted for the half-block option to minimize the running. As I ran along the main street, I received a few honks from passing cars, but everything seemed fine. However, as I reached the backstretch, which ran alongside a park and a church, I noticed a guy running towards me from the park. Initially, I thought he was running away from the sight of a big, naked black guy, assuming it was a bizarre and unfortunate encounter for him. But then, I glanced at the church and saw flames flickering in the windows, and it dawned on me that he was actually running from the fire he had started. Without hesitation, I began chasing after him. Meanwhile, my friends were waiting outside our apartment complex with a robe and a shot. They witnessed a random stranger sprinting past, followed closely by me in full naked pursuit, shouting for them to call the cops and the fire department. I managed to gain some ground on the guy I was chasing, but after about a block, I realized that we had just called the authorities, and the fire department was located in an alley near us. Considering I was a naked black guy running through the neighborhood, I urgently needed some clothes. I turned back and reached my friends just in time to grab a robe, just as the police arrived. The fire department arrived a few minutes later. It turned out that the fire was caused by a Christmas tree in the park, and my intoxicated self mistook the reflection in the church windows for flames. The police had also received a report about streakers, but didn't mention it until they left. So that night, I ended up running about half a mile completely exposed. Story 2. During my time working at a fast food restaurant in high school and beyond, I formed friendships with several of my coworkers. One day, while we were hanging out outside the restaurant, a colleague noticed that I was barefoot and proposed a bet to another guy. He offered him $3 if he sucked on my big toe, which I found amusing. I informed the group that my toe was currently infected due to an ingrown toenail. However, this did not deter the guy, who proceeded to kneel down and suck on my infected toe. Afterward, he received his $3, but then proceeded to vomit for approximately 10 minutes. I found this surprising and jokingly suggested that it couldn't have been that bad. The guy then proposed that he would pay me $3 if I did the same. I accepted the offer and came out $3 richer that day. Story 3. Our group of college friends were very close and had a bohemian lifestyle. Many of us had also engaged in intimate relationships with each other. During our drinking sessions, we played Truth or Dare with a unique philosophy. Our truths had to be so revealing and profound that choosing dare seemed preferable, but our dares had to be so intense that truth seemed more appealing. This way, we couldn't avoid the challenging category. Some of the dares we remember include my friend openly pleasuring herself in front of us, me getting a finger in a condom up my butt, and getting stick and poke tattoos. Our truths were equally intense. I recall one friend discovering that another had slept with her ex while they were still together. One person admitting they didn't really like another anymore, and me sharing a lot about being abused as a child. Although it may seem strange, this game brought us closer together. We could be completely open and authentic with each other, with no secrets or hidden agendas. I miss those times. Story 4. This is definitely not the most lewd, but it is one of the most memorable and unexpected places I have been to. When I was 14 or 15, I lived on a block full of girls my age, 14, 16, 5 of them, me, and one of them, my twin brother. One summer night, we were all hanging out in the backyard between my house and that sibling's house. Our house was kind of a middle ground for everyone. So basically, we all hung out in front of one of our houses or in our backyard. We were all friends and spent most of the summer hanging out outside until midnight or later. One night, my brother and sister's parents went into town to visit family. The kids stayed at home. My parents and the other parents were easily reachable and helpful if we needed anything. That night, we brought tequila. Everyone sat in a circle and passed the bottle around. I did not drink. I didn't want to drink at my age and lie to my parents, so we all sat around and fooled around. We started a game of Truth or Dare. Your brother drinks a lot. Everyone else was probably tipsy or drunk. Someone asks the brother, "Truth or Dare?" He says, "Dare." She looks around for a moment, then looks at his sister and says, "I dare you to make out with my sister for 10 seconds. The reaction is a bit, "You, gross." But much less hesitantly than I had imagined, his sister shrugs her shoulders, and his brother gets into the act. It felt like we had gone a little too long for what we needed. It was definitely shocking and weird. An hour later, my brother was vomiting pretty badly. Story 5. My best friend and I used to frequently engage in this game. but he always found clever ways to avoid fulfilling his dares. For instance, when I dared him to run around the block naked, he cleverly took a toy block into the bathroom, undressed, and ran around it instead. Fed up with his evasions one night, I dared him to truly run down to the end of the street naked and actually follow through on his dares. He agreed, with the condition that I accept his dare to stand on the front lawn naked. We both agreed, grabbed towels, undressed, and ventured outside. On the count of 3, we dropped our towels. While he sprinted down the street, I stood there, resembling a very skinny, pale fool. After about 25 seconds, I heard what seemed like a shout, and to my surprise, he came running back urgently, urging me to get inside quickly. It turned out that as soon as he reached the corner, a police car had passed by. Needless to say, we refrained from venturing out for a while, and the game came to an abrupt end. Story 6. When I was in 8th grade, my friend and I played Truth or Dare with my sister and her friend, who was a year younger than me. We played Truth or Dare, meaning that if we didn't dare, we had to get naked. This resulted in some pretty stiff challenges by the end of the evening. One girl, I had a crush on her at the time, definitely took the cake in the most outrageous challenge. She was made to wear underwear, and any challenge meant she had to stay naked for the rest of the night. Naturally, my buddy and I ordered her to stick a ping pong paddle up her butt. Needless to say, we never used that paddle again. Story 7. Lost my virginity. On camera, using a glow-in-the-dark condom. I didn't even remember this the next morning until I was shown on video. To make matters worse, this was my first time getting drunk. At least it was with an older girl, so she actually had an idea of what to do. Story 8. Following a late-night movie outing, a group of friends and I decided to play Truth or Dare in the empty mall. Positioned on the second level above a play area, daycare for younger children, I was dared to jump into the ball pit. Assuming it would be a harmless fall of no more than 15 feet, I accepted the challenge, believing the balls would cushion my landing. However, I later discovered they removed the balls every night, and I ended up with a painful bruise on my behind that lingered for weeks. On a separate occasion, I engaged in some risky behavior by skinny dipping in a house that was supposedly still on the market. Unbeknownst to me, someone had already moved in, and to my surprise, he turned out to be a pastor. Fun times indeed. Story 9. Students involved in high school bands can sometimes engage in excessive drinking. During a trip to a location where both the boys' and girls' varsity basketball teams had qualified for the state championship games, the pep band was also invited. The girls' game took place 2 weeks before the boys'. We arrived at the hotel with plenty of time to spare before we were required to attend. A group of us decided to visit the hotel's recreational area, which included a large pool, a gym, and a massive sauna. A few of us, who had known each other for years, entered the sauna and began flirting aggressively. We started a game of Truth or Dare, which led to kissing, grinding, stripping, and oral sex. I was dared to either urinate on the electric sauna or be kicked in the testicles by a group of guys known as douche. I opted for the latter, but I was not prepared for the force of the kick. It ruined the mood a little, but I persevered. The next turn, the same guy dared me again, and we were all annoyed by him at this point. He kept getting turned down on his dares. This time, I refused to be kicked and instead chose to urinate on the electric sauna. It didn't smell to me, but everyone else said it was like I had set a portable toilet on fire. The fire alarm went off and the entire hotel was evacuated. Fortunately, everyone, even the douches, supported me and did not betray me. We attended the game, and when we returned, I could still smell it. The entire hotel smelled like burnt hair from a porta potty. 2 weeks later, during the boys' game, the sauna was still out of commission. It was a memorable experience. Story 10. During a CTA train ride home with around 10 other people, one guy ingested a spider web. A girl opted to drink a Coke from a trash can. I had the challenge of pouring 5 water bottles down my pants. Another girl was tasked with putting my sock in her mouth. A guy briefly stripped naked. One girl entertained us by doing the worm across the entire section of the train. Another guy squeezed himself into a trash can for a full 5 minutes. A girl, on her way back, had to lick a street puddle. One guy engaged in pole dancing for the entire 5-minute train ride. Lastly, a girl took on the daring task of licking the train itself. Looking back, it seems I might have had the easiest and safest dare among the group. Story 11. After a night of rum and pool party debauchery, the Truth or Dare game escalated to a room of mostly naked people. The final challenge was a girl sitting naked on top of her boyfriend, straddling him. She was to pull her panties to the side and begin f***ing him. At this point, everyone understood that a decision had been made. This thing was do or die. They quickly got up and went downstairs, and everyone went back to their corners to enjoy some private time. But I will never forget that moment. Let me tell you, I was already ready to gobble it up. Story 12. When I was in college, a group of friends and I rented a cottage for the weekend. We decided, after playing a few drinking games, to play Truth or Dare. It was pretty lame to play Dare, so I decided it was time to up the ante. We had two girls making out, a girl wearing a bikini and jumping into an icy cold bathtub, and I tried to get some funny truths out of everyone. Eventually, it was my turn to be challenged. Transform yourself with eyeliner, blush, lipstick, and earrings. All the girls will kiss you on the lips, and you'll have to go home in that lipstick to your jealous girlfriend. Needless to say, it was an awkward drive home from that weekend. Story 13. This occurred last night during a game of Dare or Explicit Dare with a bottle. Participants could choose between a standard dare or a more daring option. Our group is very laid back. I spun the bottle, and it landed on a girl in front of me. She opted for the explicit dare, so without hesitation, I dared her to consume a dog biscuit from her best friend's butt crack. Since we were all drunk, 3 individuals were enthusiastic about the idea. The best friend got into a hands and knees position, inserted the biscuit into her butt crack, and tightened her muscles to keep it in place. The dared girl also got into a hands and knees position and went for the treat. Around 6 people, including myself, watched as she opened her mouth to bite a piece out. As she bit into the treat, the best friend let out a loud beer fart, and the girl found herself biting into a dog treat while simultaneously inhaling ass breath. Despite this, she bravely chewed and swallowed the treat. If anything, everyone had clothes on. Thanks for watching! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new cool episodes. See you soon!